But I was a Moxie Java guy for a while, but they pulled back all their locations in the Boise area. So.
Mm-hmm. So far today, did you have some coffee at home? Can I ask, is it okay if I ask these questions?
What don't you ask?
Okay.
Me?
So in the morning when you got up, do you have a coffee maker at home or do you have
I have a great French press coffee maker that somebody gave me that I've fallen in love with. It's like, so you microwave the water and get it real hot, and you just put junky old Folgers in there, and you pour the hot water in there, and then you press it down. It's called a French press. It's really cool.
Okay.
And then, yes, I did have 2 or 3 cups before I left.
Okay. So,
of course, I get up at 6 a.m.
All right.
You don't get up at that time.
No,
so.
I don't.
Okay.
No, I'm lazy.
Okay.
So you get up and you French press 3 cups of Folgers.
Likely.
Right.
Yes, in that vicinity.
Okay, so you French press your Folgers, 3 cups.
This is my mom's going to see this, isn't she?
And then...
No, she doesn't have a computer, so that's okay. That's okay.
Laura Rennick.
Yeah, it was Laura.
Don't watch any more of this.
That's all right.
Okay, so you've had 3 cups at your house, at your place,
right.
and then on the way over here, you had a triple espresso.
Yes.
Is that right?
That sounds terrible the way we're saying it, but yes, I did. Yeah, I did.
It's healthy. Coffee is a very healthy beverage.
It's good for you.
A triple espresso, and then is that your second cup here?
You know it's the second cup.
Okay. So 3 cups, 5 cups of coffee and a triple espresso is what you've had so far today, and this is being recorded at 10:20 a.m.
And you're letting people know we don't do this show live spontaneously. Is that what you're letting people know?
Right now.
Yeah. Why do I say good afternoon?
Well, because people are here listening in the afternoon.
I always thought we gave the illusion that we were just doing this live and it was brilliant and it was put together.
Yeah.
We've blown that.
That is the illusion.
Oh, okay.
But
it's that radio thing, huh? That's one of these radio things.
5 cups of coffee.
Trying to focus it back on you.
You French pressed some Folgers and had a triple espresso. How much, like one shot of espresso is like how many cups of coffee?
I have no idea. I really don't.
I think it's like 2.
Okay.
Okay.
So our point being?
You've had 9 cups of coffee.
And the crazy thing is that...
9 cups of coffee.
Well, the crazy thing, since we're being... is I drink coffee all day long. I mean, you go to our Victory Over Sin meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday night, and there's a Bente Starbucks cup there with me when I do the meetings. Mm-hmm. And so, and I go home and I can fall asleep.
Right.
So I don't know what it is.
You have coffee so you can go home and go to sleep.
I just drink coffee all day long. Right. It beats Kentucky bourbon, which is what I used to drink.
Right.
So all day long. I used to drink that all day long. So.
Yeah. So
I was more successful financially when I drank bourbon all day long than I am when I have coffee all day long.
But God set you free from the bourbon.
Certainly did.
Absolutely. Do you find that not just drinking the coffee, but holding the cup is part of it? Like it's comforting to kind of have that cup in your hand?
It's the same way as the alcoholic. Yeah, I didn't know.
Holding in your hand, and it's
knowing it was close
hand
by.
to mouth. Hand to mouth.
Knowing that it was close by, yes.
Right. Yeah, I could totally
It's
see
addictive
that.
behavior.
So one of the things...
It's a great show so far.
This is compelling.
Yeah, this really is. We've blown.
9. So right now you're kind of going through something personally you have a son.
I have a son.
That is incarcerated.
Yes. Unfortunately, my son followed me in his lifestyle. He's 20 and he did a rider and just got back from a rider, I think we determined 8 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago.
And that was 6 months?
6 months up in Cottonwood. Went up and saw the north and sat in the snow up there and did good. Came back and convinced the judge that he was okay to go, and they let him out. And he's working, got a good job, everything, but the wheels kind of fell off the cart over the weekend, and he made some mistakes. And usually when you and I do this, so we understand that we're working with people that have flaws, and the relationship goes bad with the girl, and suddenly he's right back with drugs, and best I can determine, he ingested something he didn't think he was going to ingest. And was arrested, taken to the hospital, spent the weekend in the hospital, and got a little crazy, psychotic almost. And so he's off that now. But because he was cited on misdemeanors, and I think there's a felony pending, when he reported into the probation and parole the other night, they put him in cuffs. So he'd had a hearing coming up on this Monday, and we're anticipating that, of course, he'll be in custody until then because he's got a hold on him. And we're anticipating that he will be dealt with accordingly via his probation and probably do some time this time. So it's difficult. Yeah.
For any parents that have a child who's incarcerated, I would think that would be a lonely thing. I think you could feel really isolated. You work with offenders and kind of these issues all the time. For a lot of parents, it's just out of nowhere, and they have a child that's incarcerated. What kind of encouragement, and from a Christian perspective, how you work through all that?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of things it's kind of exciting times for people like us who work in the field. There's a couple new groups. There's a group called Allo, which meets and that has support for parents who have children that are incarcerated. That's certainly one group. And then you can go to groups like mine. There's an emerging kind of group of people who work with this population. And so it's exciting. There's places to get support for it. We got a new director of the Department of Corrections who's real insightful in terms of wanting to address these issues. So the support is out there, but I think rarely do people do stuff like I'm doing right now and actually talk about it. But in truth, that's exactly what we need to do. I mean, more people in Idaho are in this situation than people care to think about. And so it's much easier to face what you fear and let that come out and deal with it. It's much better if it's out in the open.
Okay, so
that's what we do in our groups. In the groups that we do our Victory Over Sin on Tuesday and Wednesday night at Pure Wellness Center in Boise. That's what we really do. It's all about facing the things that you're afraid of. We call it a recovery group, but really we're trying to make people better Christians on a weekly basis, or if we can.
So you've got to connect with other people.
You do have to connect with other people. So it's so much of what we fear in our hearts needs to get out there and to let God know what's going on and talk to him about it, but certainly communicate with other people, other believers, in a sense of what you would call community, and make that work. A lot of data coming out from people that says all that empathy, all that compassion, all that works as you get out in community and share that. That's where you get the support. If you don't hide those things inside yourself and you bring them out, they're not near as fearful. So it's positive. So that's what we try to do. So it's exciting, but
absolutely.
So it's not easy to do, obviously.
Right. And if somebody's, not in this area, obviously they need to connect with the church. They need to just get out and seek.
That's right. There's all sorts
find some answers.
There's all sorts of people who are studying this. I mean, if you're from that secular kind of side, Brene Brown studies this. We're going to talk about some of the work that Mr. Alexander does at the University of Vancouver in terms of community. There are a lot of people doing this in terms of addiction. It's not just the traditional 12-step approach that everybody says. It's a cognitive approach. I believe it's much greater than that. It needs to be more spiritual in terms of a relation. I'm sober today because I got a relationship with Jesus Christ, and that's the only reason I'm sober. But I try to continue that by being out in community and by sharing what I know and listening to what other people know and picking up insights. I mean, I pick up something from every meeting I go to where I never quite thought about it from that angle, and so that helps me. And it beats, staying home and watching The Voice. Yeah. I guess when you're worried about something that's in your head, if you keep it in your head, then you're going to watch The Voice and the inane commercials that kind of come on, and that's the lost world that we live in. Yeah. So you try to stay away from that as much as possible.
And the Bible is based so much in community and relationships and fellowship and encouraging each other and edifying each other.
And just last night it was like it was a smaller group, but the thing I was surprised about as we started talking about it, Jen was talking about he gets up at 2:00 in the morning. He doesn't know what to do at 2:00 in the morning, and we've all been in that spot where you wake up at 2:00 in the morning. You're thinking, what in the world am I doing up? And what he kept saying was, what does God want me to do at 2:00 in the morning? Yet I'm in that situation. What I do, I'll pick up the novel I'm reading, or I'll do something, but how often is it that he wants you to open the Bible at that point in time and read something right there? How do you wait? I go through a series of things where I think, maybe you want me to talk to you, or maybe you want me to open up the Bible to talk to you about this, because that's why you woke me up. And then from that becomes the insight. So, we just don't do it. And I think there was a small group of us there, but we went around the room. Everybody did the same thing. It was like, this is the last thing I think about, but that should be the first thing I think about.
That's awesome.
See, these calls are coming in.
Do you need Do you need some more, Joe?
I'll be okay, sir. Thank you.
9 cups of coffee.
The,